The Star of Many Names. A Bedtime Story. Inspired by Matthew. Chapter 1. Long, long ago, in a time when the stars sang softly in the skies, and the earth was still wrapped in quiet mystery, there was a hidden thread running through generations. It was like a silver ribbon, woven through time, shimmering in secret, passed from heart to heart, from father to son, mother to child. This thread carried a promise that light would come. And so, our story begins, not with just one person, but with a long line of dreamers, kings, shepherds, and singers, all part of something far bigger than themselves. There was Abraham, who once looked up at the stars and heard the voice of God whisper, "You will have as many children as these." He laughed under the starlight, and his wife Sarah giggled too, but the stars just kept shining. Abraham passed the thread to Isaac, who passed it to Jacob, who passed it to Judah, the lion-hearted one. And so the thread continued, winding its way through the centuries like a story waiting to be told. Through brave women like Tamar and Rahab, through loyal hearts like Boaz, who married Ruth in fields of golden barley. The thread passed through David, the shepherd boy who played lullabies on his harp and grew to be king. Then came Solomon, the wise one, who built a temple that shimmered like the morning sun. And yet, like all who came before, he too waited for the light that was promised. The thread twisted through time, sometimes bright, sometimes faded, but it never broke. It passed through kings and craftsmen, wanderers and warriors. It passed through exile and return, through joy and sorrow, birth and loss, and still it held fast. Finally, it reached a man named Joseph. Joseph was a quiet man. He lived in a sleepy town called Nazareth, where olive trees stretched their arms toward the sky, and wildflowers nodded in the breeze. Joseph worked with wood. He was gentle with his hands, and even gentler with his heart. Every morning, he walked to his workshop and sang to the birds that kept him company. His fingers were calloused, but his heart was soft, like soil waiting for a seed. One night, Joseph stood under the stars, tracing constellations with his eyes. He thought of the stories his father had told him. Stories of Abraham, of David, of the promise passed down like an heirloom. He never imagined that the thread might end with him. But the story was about to unfold. Joseph was engaged to a kind young woman named Mary. She had eyes like moonlight and a spirit as calm as the Sea of Galilee at dawn. She too was part of the thread, though neither she nor Joseph yet knew the whole pattern. Then one day, everything changed. Mary told Joseph something that made the world feel like it had paused mid-breath. She was going to have a child, a holy child, not by any earthly man, but by the breath of God himself. Joseph didn't know what to do. He walked beneath the fig trees. He sat beside the well. He spoke to no one, not even the birds. He loved Mary, but the story felt too big, too strange, too bright. That night, as he slept beneath the stars, a dream came to him. The dream was full of light, soft and warm, like sunbeams through linen curtains. An angel stood in the dream, shimmering like morning mist, and he spoke not with thunder, but with peace. "Joseph, son of David," the angel said, his voice like wind through cedar trees, "do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child growing within her is from the Holy Spirit." Joseph listened, still as a stone carved by time. "She will bear a son," the angel continued, "and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." The angel's wings stretched wide across the dream, like the sky itself opening up. And Joseph, in that silent space between heartbeats, felt something stir, like the thread had reached him, wrapped around him, and called him into the story. When he awoke, the morning light was soft and golden, falling gently across the room like grace. He rose and went to Mary, who was waiting with calm eyes and steady hands. He took her hand and whispered, "I believe." And from that day on, they walked together, two hearts carrying the greatest secret the world had ever known. The thread had passed to them, and through them, to the light of the world. In time, that child would be born beneath a sky filled with stars and angels. But that is a story for another night. Tonight, remember Joseph, the quiet one, and Mary, the brave one. Remember the thread that never broke, the thread of hope and love, woven through time like a lullaby from heaven. It passed through generations, through songs and struggles, all the way to a manger where it would glow in the shape of a child's face, a child named Jesus. And as the stars twinkle above you tonight, just like they did above Abraham, David, and Joseph, rest in the quiet truth that the story is not over. The thread still continues, and you too are part of it.